relationship actually makes parenting easier, since children will feel more connected to their parents, are the ones inclined to want to listen, help, and follow instructions. Children who feel connected are also more willing to talk to their parents about their problems, about their friends, about school, about anything at all. And that's why today we have a special guest who is going to be helping us expand on this conversation in person of Nwaduto Kuwaiti. Ha! No, I'm more than that. I did not get that right.
No, we'll let it slide.
We will let it slide.
Yes, we will.
Coach, help me out this afternoon, and what's your name?
Nwaduto Akwiti.
Nwaduto
Akwiti, yes.
Amazing. And she is a very fantastic life coach. She's a psychotherapist, and she's willing to help people begin their journey of self-awareness, self-knowledge, self-mastery, with the integration of spirit, soul, body, and environment to bring individuals and organizations to a place of peace, productivity, and peak performance. When I checked on your Instagram, I like the the phrase you used at your caption there with your in your bio, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. A life coach to teenagers and young adults, and you're concerned about bridging the gap between teens, young adults, and their parents, which
Yes,
I
I
think it's a lot of work.
Yes, it
Teenagers
is.
are a lot of trouble, and they could be a lot. They could be quite a handful.
Well,
Why specifically did you think of all the sections to want to bridge? Why parents and young adults and teenagers?
well, just like you rightly said, most people will say it is actually a lot of trouble. That's what most people will say. But then I had my fair share.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did. No, nothing serious. The way you went, oh, okay, as though, oh, I did something very, very terrible. No, I actually did have my own fair share of confusion and trying to understand what was actually going on within that phase of my life. So it was something that I felt that, oh, it's necessary that we are able to lead people when they are in that position. When as children, it is easy to lead people or to tell children what to do. Then adults, they should know what to do. But then at that teen years, we are wondering, are they children or are they adults? What are they actually? Should we be telling them what to do, or should they be knowing what to do? So there's that kind of confusion. And most times, just like you said, most people go into the adolescent years, or parents of adolescents go into those years with the fear of, is this the child I raised? What's going on? I can't believe this. I spoke and he spoke back. All those kind of stuff. I don't know what he's doing. He doesn't talk. She doesn't talk. And then all that kind of stuff. So there's really a bridge.
There's a bridge.
Yes.
Because I like you rightly said, I also have my fair share of that kind of experience too with my parents. And
Pray tell.
and it was kind of like a lot to deal with that particular stage. But I want to find out from you, what's your perception from the teenagers you have worked with and parents you've worked with the kind of parenting system we have in Nigeria? What's your overview of it?
Well, in Nigeria, and I would say basically, generally, because I've had some clients that are not Nigerians.
Okay.
But then you realize that we give what we have. It's not possible for you to give what you do not have.
Absolutely.
So what parenting style do we know? Where did we learn parenting from? There's no school that is teaching parenting. Actually, there's none. So we grow up and we just feel, okay, get married, have children, and then begin to parent them. And where did we learn it from? From what we saw our parents do, our aunties, our uncles, our neighbors, people around us, the community where we lived and spent most times of our lives. So that is all we saw, that's all we know. And we just believe that that's the same thing we should do with our children. But times have changed. So right now, the situation or the way it is right now is that most times parents are saying my children are rebels. They do not want to obey. They will not obey. I'm saying do this, they prefer to do something else. I think it's because I said they should do this. Maybe I should say they should do this, then they will obey. So they have that power tussle going back and forth. And in Nigeria, it is majorly do what I say. You must obey me. So there is no flexibility in parenting. There is no wanting to understand the child, to know what the child is saying or what the child is all about, and then trying to parent the child, meet the child where the child is at. But we prefer that, see, you should come up to where I am at. and then
because
let's do this.
They're the parent. They put food on the table. I'm going to make a case like that now. For parents who are saddled with, the responsibility to provide, I think personally that it is only like obligated of that child to obey, because that person is providing. If it was a work environment, what would be said is he who pays the piper dictates the tune. Why is that not applicable in the home where the parents is providing the child school fees, clothing, shelter? You literally don't do anything till maybe you're old enough to start working. And when they give instruction, it's a problem. But it doesn't apply like that. That's like saying, if it was a work environment, that person has to have no choice. Either you obey or you flunk out.
True. So, but then what's the undertone there? It's actually when we obey at work, we're thinking of the consequence
of not obeying.
Yes. What's the consequence of not obeying?
You get fired or you walk out of the organization.
You see that? So you think of it and you're wondering, do I want to get fired right now? If I get fired, what am I going to
do?
So because of that, we sit back. I mean, there are many times we want to tell our bosses, sorry, don't. I'm just saying by the side. There are many times we want to speak out. There are many times we want to scream. There are many times could you take a seat and just be quiet? Let me do this thing called my job, So, but then we can't. Why? Because we are thinking of the consequences. But when we go to the family, when we go to our home, there are some things your siblings will do to you that with your full chest, you can just shout at them and smack them or something.
Absolutely.
But then if an outsider, a total stranger should try same with you, you might not even say a word. You just let it slide. Why? Consequences too. You're putting up a front to that stranger. That stranger now needs to see you in a different light. It's first impression, right? So you'll prefer not to bring out your fangs and your claws and club the person down. But then when we're now speaking about your family that knows you, people who really do know you or should understand you, they're coming from the perspective of you should know better. But why are you not doing better? So the teenager at that point is saying, you should understand me. I am trying hard to let you understand me, but no, you have totally refused to understand me. So I'm not saying, teenagers keep disobeying. No, definitely not. That's not the message I preach, because it's always find the middle ground.
Okay.
That's what it's more like. So why are they disobeying? In NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, we believe that there are some presuppositions that we hold. Presuppositions are simply beliefs that we believe to be true, that we model. So one of those presuppositions are, for every behavior, there is a positive intention.
But is that absolutely true? From a teenager, the behavior from a teenager, I'm not saying that, but I want to disagree that, every behavior, there is a positive, what again?
Intention. Give me a behavior.
A child disobeying the parent,
Good. So now the question you want to ask as the parent is, why did he disobey?
Okay.
Why did the child disobey? And then the child will tell you what happened. So you want to know why. So we separate the behavior from the child. So put away the behavior. That disobedience is not the child. The child disobeyed, and we say some behaviors are coping mechanisms. That child disobeying at that point, there is a reason why that child disobeyed. So why? Why, guy, why did you disobey? Tell me now, why did you disobey?
You mentioned something which I think I don't want to slide, is coping mechanism. A lot of young people have found various coping mechanisms, which some of them are healthy, some of them are not healthy, some of them are they might lead to depression and the likes.
True.
But let me go back to one question I wanted to ask before this one is, in the time where we find ourselves now, there is a huge access to information. We're in a millennial, they call them the Gen Z right now. Gen Z generation, they have access to everything. They don't want to stress themselves. How difficult is it for parents to be able to adjust to the time of understanding that these children have access to the kind of knowledge that it took maybe the parents 30 years to acquire? They're getting access to it at 14, at 15. I was looking up the internet. I was talking with a friend the other day. Her cousin, who is barely 12 is already writing program, is already programming at the
Yeah.
age of 12,
Yeah.
which is what somebody would have gone to the university to go and learn. So that 12-year-old boy is making money at 12. So how difficult it is to parent this new generation?
Okay, I like the way you coined the question, and I like the perspective from which you're looking at it at, because most times the parents are the one revolting the new generation. Yeah, they are the ones saying no. But then I like the way you looked at it, meaning that there is a way. There is a way that there's a synergy that could take place.
Probably.
Yeah, there's a way that things could be amended instead of throwing away the water and the bath, the baby and the bath water. But then we can, let's salvage the baby. So it's something that is a serious issue for parents, especially for this generation that is being raised. And the earlier we get into their world, the better for us. Instead of saying, I do not understand social media, the internet, please, you want to press phone, say, before I spoil the phone. We are running away from it instead of running towards it and try to make things work. So your child will keep doing what they do while you keep wondering what they are busy spending their time doing. That's their new idea of fun. Growing up, we would rather be playing with sand outside and rolling tires and doing all that kind of stuff. But then that's not the case now. You hardly find children outside running around unless if you intentionally say there should be outdoor play. Yes, and that is something you need to intentionally put in place. So you need to intentionally say, okay, now we have to go outdoors. For the younger teenagers, you say, see, screen time is scheduled. You have to have a certain time of screen time. And then they call it social media hygiene. I think there's a term like that. So we have times when they need to be on social media and when they need to be out of social media. But to totally say, no, you will never be on social media, they will be on social media somewhere else. So it's better you own it, take it and lead them, than to push it away and say, no, you will never have it. The truth is, when your child is in school, you don't know what they do in school.
Talking about that, and I listened to a podcast recently of, and I experienced this one while growing up. There was this religious practice of, if a lady wears trousers, she's going to hellfire. That kind of thing. It was very, very, very popular in the early 2000s, 2005 and all of that. And then I remember going to school, and then I started hearing stories of, these girls wear trousers in school, but they don't wear trousers at home. They don't even take it home because in their home they don't allow them to wear it. This particular generation are very confrontational. They want to tell you exactly how things are supposed to be. How do you think that parents who want to hold on to certain ideologies that they have can also still be able to blend in with what is going on today without necessarily thinking that the child is being the child is being disobedient or being rebellious? That's the word, being rebellious to their rules and regulation. And it might just be that the child has, quote unquote, a better understanding than the parent.
True, I agree with you. Now I'm going to say another presupposition that we hold in NLP. The person with the most flexibility has the largest control.
Can you say that again?
The person with the most flexibility has the largest control. So flexibility is key in parenting. We can't keep doing things the same way. Einstein said the definition of stupidity is doing the same thing the same way over and over again and expecting a different result. You've tried it a certain way before and it didn't work. You are always at loggerhead with your teenager. You're always fighting. There are always clashes. There's always power tussle. You realize that it's not working. But then we expect that teenager should rather bend to our authority when we should rather change our parenting style. Be flexible with it. There's no one way to doing anything. Never. In NLP, we also believe that there are always options. You can never be stuck at one thing. There are always options. So you can't keep sitting and thinking that, this is the way to do this and this is the way we're going to do it. My child is being confrontational. How dare you speak to me? Why don't you look at it from a perspective of, okay, I would prefer to listen while this person speaks. So change your seat from being the talker all the time, from being the one always dishing out instructions, from being the one always commanding and telling the things to be done. Just sit back and listen. Sit back and watch. You realize that your child is just trying to explain to you what it's doing, but in our own terms. You are replying. I spoke to you. You are responding to, and then we get all angry. Our fangs are out before you know it.
You know why you're saying that now? A lot of kids who were not allowed to always respond to conversations when they were much younger. Now they grow older and then they build this silent culture of not talking, and then their parents are like, I'm talking to you, but you don't say anything. And then they're like, well, when I wanted to talk,
you told me to shut up.
Told me to shut up. And that wants to lead me to my next question. This is an age where there's a lot of awareness now on mental health. There's a lot of awareness now on mental health. And I think that a lot of parents did not even have an understanding of what mental health is when they were growing up. They felt like that was like part of them being raised up as kids. It was more like the way of life for them to grow up. How can parents understand what mental health is? How can they understand that their actions, which might be quote unquote termed disciplinary actions, can push the child into depression?
Now that's a whole masterclass. But then parents need to understand that everything you do to a teenager is being interpreted emotionally. Teenagers do not have the ability to interpret things logically, thanks to the growing of the brain. Now, our brain grows from the back to the front, and the back is where the limbic region is at, where the seat of our emotions. And our emotions is actually things that is guiding us, is protecting us. That's where our auto-response system is at. Where something happens and you either run, you fly, that's flight, freeze, or you fight. So it's actually to protect us, and that is actually growing. It is developed way before the adolescence age, and then it's still growing and all the way to the front. And adolescence is from 10 years to say 25 years. So you realize that these people, their brain is not even fully developed, and the frontal cortex is the brain for the logical brain. The logical brain that does all the creative thinking, the reasoning, everything, morality. Even the emotional control is controlled by the logical brain. So all that happens, and then we realize that if we could understand the teenager and understand that everything that I do to this child is going to be interpreted emotionally. So you find out that all they are saying is, you don't understand me, you don't get me, I'm not happy, I'm sad. When they're happy, they're happy. When they're sad, they're sad. That's the mood swing. It's all emotional. You take their phone from them, you tell them you have just 1 hour on the internet. My father doesn't like me. No, you can't drive the car. My father hates me. So everything is interpreted emotionally. So it is easy for teenagers, adolescents to slip into depression so quickly. So the earlier we know and be able to read the non-verbal communications of our children will be better. So even when you are talking to them, be able to see that something is happening. So you are talking to them, you are saying what you're saying. Notice them. See them. Is it being consumed the way you want it to be consumed? Or is it being interpreted wrongly? So if it's being passed across wrongly, then you want to change what you're saying. You want to change what you're doing. And even sometimes when we scold, after we scold, I love the analogy of the rod and the staff.
Wait, hold that thought there. Because that's a very important part to just go into. And that's like a phrase from, I think it's in the Bible, where they say, spare the rod and spoil the child. Well, if you're just joining this conversation, this is the big question of Women Radio 91.7. And we're talking about, building better relationship between teenagers and parents with Coach Unwa. Did I get that?
Yes, you did.
Yes, Coach Unwa. And the phone line is open. I feel like a lot of people might want to ask questions. So I'm going to open the phone line for about 3 to 4 calls. 07000 917 917. Or you can send us a text or a WhatsApp message on 070 56537. 07000 917 917. That part of the scripture that says spare the rod and spoil the child. How do we balance it right now? Because I've had like schools, 21st century schools, that have said that we don't flog a child in this school, and they're like there's a policy, like a very strong policy in schools now, and I'm hearing parents saying they've never laid the finger on the child, and it used to be a mode of correction for me growing up. I remember my dad beating me a couple of times. So
we all had our fair share.
We had our So how do you explain that now to millennial parents? Because I think that we're having a lot of young people now. I'm seeing a lot of people between the age of 25 to 30 getting married now. How can they raise kids rightly without being too loose, if there's a word like that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'll start from the perspective of rules and regulation. Every community, every organization, every unit, we thrive on rules.
Okay.
So you can't have a home without rules. And the funny part is that our subconscious minds pick things even from the 3rd trimester in the womb up to 7 years old. That child is being formed. That's why you hear people say things like, or scientists will tell you that after that child is 7, there is no foundation. You can't lay any foundation anymore. But then, yes, but then with that been proven again that you have another window between 7 to 15. So, and then it's not as if you can't lay another foundation, but then is that child ready to let you have full access to laying that foundation? So there is no more about you just doing and the child picking it as a sponge. It's now you wanting to, you need the child's input to lay that foundation after 7 years. But before 7, is do what I say. The things you see around, everything you see. That's why they say be careful what you do around children, because they actually pick it. It's our subconscious mind. We pick it without knowing. How many times have you been, okay, I mean, you're constantly listening to music, but then for people who are listening, you just pass a certain house or a certain place where music is blasting. You passed. This is seconds. You didn't stay. You were not paying attention. I'm sure in your head you were like, who are these ones blasting music by this time? And you just passed. Then in your idle time, you are humming the song
that was blasting.
That was
across the
blasting.
road. Yes.
So it's your subconscious mind. You didn't intentionally say, let me pause and learn it. You just picked it. That's how the subconscious mind works. So you realize that children from age 0 to 7, they're constantly picking. So if you have rules that govern your home, that child will pick it up. That child will get it. So that if it is a rule that once we enter our house, we wash our hands, that child from age 1 will enter the house and know that I should wash my hands right after I have entered the home. So once you have rules, your rules stand.
Okay.
Then as they grow older, there's something we call, in fact, before they get to teen years, you should introduce consequences. And then,
hold that thought. So, sorry, I wanted to engage people. Hello, good morning. Good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Faith. I'm calling from Madrid.
Your name is what?
Faith.
Faith.
Yeah, Faith.
Faith, where are you calling us from?
Madam Vadi.
All right, Faith, go ahead. What's your question, Faith? Hello? Oh, okay, you can try call us back 07000 917 917. I have Coach Umar in the studio with us this afternoon, and we're talking about building better relationship between teenagers and parents right here on the radio. Yeah, you were saying.
Okay, I hope I can remember what I was saying.
Okay, so let me move your thoughts to a different direction now,
Okay.
and that's because of our time. Teenagers now started with the responsibilities to start thinking of their future. Before now, you had to be 18 over before you start worrying about what you want to become. But now, from a very young age, I think from 16, we're seeing 15, 16 get admission into the university right now. And there is a lot of pressure on the young, especially teenagers, to be successful. And I'm wondering, why is that? Why did that paradigm shift? Before, you had to be I was looking at the chat one time and I was saying, I think in the late 80s, you had to be over 40 When you got to the 90s, no, at the late 80s, you had to be about 50, 60. By the 90s, you had to be between your 40 and your 50s. And by 2000, you had to be between your 30 and your 45, 50. And now we're seeing that people are talking about being successful at 25. You know, at hitting limelight.
25 is even old.
Oh my God, it's old.
25 is old. When you hear some teenagers speak, you'll be amazed. Yeah, okay.
Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. Alright, I think I'll just pause on the calls. Yeah, you said 25 is old.
Yeah, because when you listen to some teenagers speak, you're like, can you relax? Relax. How old are you? 14. Relax. Relax and breathe. The world is not running. But this also has to do with the age and the times.
Okay.
You know, when it was just us without social media, I don't know what my neighbor is doing, unless if I go knock on their door.
Absolutely.
Do I know what class you are in? Do I even care what class you're in? I'm just living my own life, running my own deals and doing what it is that I'm doing, making my own progress. You know, the only competition that I have was myself and then my siblings, ensuring that my younger ones don't catch up with me and ensuring that I'm seriously running and trying to meet up with the mark and the high standing that my older ones have placed already for me to attain to. But right now, you go on the internet and then they are showing you 8 years old, gaining admission into all the Ivy League universities. And you're like, wait, you say what? What? I mean, she's 8 years old. But then she had an IQ that was good enough to go to the university. So it's, when you see all of that as a young person, you're seeing someone that is 22, has made money, has cars, has his own home. You immediately, by yourself, put the burden and the pressure on yourself. I'm not going to say that our parents don't put pressure on us. Oh, yes, they do. They have their own fair share too, you know. But then I will say this has to do with the internet and the age they were at. So parents generally need to be able to tell their children that it is okay to be at the level where you are at.
Yeah.
It is okay to take things gradually. It is okay to go at the pace at which you're going, as long as you are not stagnant. You are moving. That is perfect. So it is our duty as parents to try to calm our children down and let them know that they are doing fine, and not saddle them with the responsibility. You know, it's funny when we see that children that are not doing so well academically, and I mean, they are doing their best, really. It's not as if they are lazy. They are actually trying so hard, and they are on the 60% mark. And you find parents telling them that this term, if you don't make 90-something%, you know your child's capability. So why won't we take it one step at a time? If they are at 60, can we try to move it to 70 instead of taking it to 90? That child is going to be stressed so much that the child will not even be able to hit that 60 anymore. So it is necessary that we take it one step at a time, give the necessary help that child needs to be able to move to that 70 mark, instead of just saying you must make 70, I mean, you must make 90, and then we do nothing to help the child to move to 90. We leave the child saddled with the whole responsibility of getting themselves to the point where we have laid for them to get to.
Absolutely. You are absolutely correct. And I really feel like, we can't cover up everything today. But how do we not get lost as young adults and also women and teenagers in the social media age where there is so much distractions? Let's talk about emerge in this conversation now. How do we not get lost in the midst of all of these distractions? Hold that thought. Let's see if this call is going to go through. Hello, good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon. What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm calling from, my name is Eugene. I'm calling from Calgary, Canada.
Okay. Thank you so much for calling. Appreciate you. I'm sure Coach Unwar is the reason why you're making this call come true.
Yes, I can see her smile sheepishly.
Thank you.
Awesome topic, guys.
Thank you.
I can hear you, Comes then.
And I have a question for you out there, my sisters.
Okay.
And I think we're spoiling the kids these days. Our parents used to teach us black and blue,
Okay.
and see how we turned out. I mean,
We turned out really great.
What this podcast is on radio. I mean, if we don't beat them, I wonder where they will turn out. Maybe they'll end up in the gutter or somewhere. I think they beat you, you end up in the moon. They beat you, end up in a castle. They beat you, you end up as a doctor, a medical doctor, an engineer. If they don't beat you,
Where are you
you
gonna end up?
like Ted Franklin's son, disturbing everybody and looking for trouble.
So your question is it okay to still beat?
Okay.
Is that your question? Is your question is it still okay to? Is it okay? Should we continually do that? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. So the question is, what is that? Should we beat our kids or should we just let them run wild?
All right. Thank you for calling. I appreciate that call. And I think a lot of parents would also have this opinion of, they feel like physically discipline their children. It's important for them to take correction and to listen to them and to be stronger individuals. And I'm sure it's not just him that has that kind of thought in his head. There are a lot of parents that still forget whatever it is the Oyibo man is saying. I must still, that child needs to be dealt with physically and I must beat him.
I remember I saw a post once where somebody said motherhood is yelling and beating. And the truth is, if we ask ourselves, thanks a lot, Blue Jeans and Cups, then thank you very much. I totally appreciate you. Now, if we can be truthful to ourselves and ask ourselves the question, really, did we turn out okay after being flogged?
Did we turn out okay?
I've had clients, no joke, adults, married with kids, in their 30s, their 40s, their 50s, who after we go through therapy, it lands us in their childhood and how their parents brought out belts and things to flog them. And it cost something in their life. So after tracing it back, it takes us back to that point. So if we can all be truthful a little bit, it's just that most of us grew up and Odeshi, as in,
don't dust down.
Yeah, nothing is happening, as in we just keep moving. We're kajad like that. But then there are several people who it did something to them. The whole flogging and the whole beating. And then it also depends on how we were beaten and how we were flogged.
Absolutely.
There are varieties of beat and flog. There are. So if we can be truthful, some of us had it rough. Some of us had it really, really rough, that every night you have to ask yourself, does my father love me? Is this guy even my father? So when you're flogging a child that way, what is the child learning? And I've grown to find out that it is at the point where we are having fun and where we are relaxed that I can teach my children values. It is at the point where we're very relaxed, no tension, that I can chip in everything that I want to chip in for my children to learn, rather than when there is tension, when I'm about to yell and I'm holding myself and telling myself, be flexible, be flexible, be flexible. So at that point, I have to keep calming myself down and tell myself that no, separate this child from the behavior. What's wrong and what do I want to achieve? So you ask yourself, what do you want to achieve? Be flexible about it. You don't have to beat, you don't have to hit, but have a conversation with that child. A true story. I shared this on my YouTube channel before, but then somebody, a parent who had this wayward child, in quotes, wayward used loosely, who would always go out at night and then not return till morning. And then this parent met the child, as in always telling the child, why do you keep doing, and the child promised, okay, I'm going to be home for dinner today. And so, oh, perfect, thank you. And then the child goes out and doesn't make it home for dinner. The child comes late. Whatever the story is that the child had for not making it early. But when he got home, he expected the usual shouting and clawing and all of that. But The mother just looked at me and said, welcome, hugged him and said, I left food for you, but we are all done. We've cleaned up. So do you want me to heat up your food for you? And the child was, you know that, as in, is this my home? Where's my mom? What did you do to my mother? And then she went, brought the food for the child, and the child ate. She went to bed. She didn't say a word about him returning late. She went to bed, had a wonderful sleep, and it was in the morning the child came himself to apologize. The child came himself to say, I am so sorry. Yesterday, this happened, that happened. I really wanted to make it, but several things happened that I couldn't make it. And the mother hugged her child, and that was it. That child came home every day for dinner. Well, he has been coming home every day for dinner, the last time I checked. So that's just the mother being flexible at that point. Shouting didn't work. Beating didn't work. What worked? Love, patience, being flexible. Worked in that case, in that scenario, in that situation.
Our time, Coach Umar, has been well invested, but I see you want to do something very exceptional for people to round up the year, which is get to where they desire to be, and I think a lot of people are dealing with that. In a minute or two, just talk about Emerge and what any individual who thinks they need this for themselves.
Okay, the Emerge event is going to be taking place on the 1st to the 3rd of December, which is next week Wednesday, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. every of those days, and that's Nigerian time. And it's basically for people who have been stagnant or who feel that they are confused, they are stuck, who want to make a change and a difference in their life generally. I know the COVID came and did what it did, and we expected that, 2021 is going to be the year. We're going to get it this year. But then still, 2021 came with all that it came with. So it's necessary that we find out what beliefs that we have that keep holding us back, to be able to understand how we could be flexible to achieve the things that it is that we want to achieve. So in that event, we're going to be eliciting our success and failure models, which is just basically what makes you thrive and what holds you back. So everybody's going to be able to see their life at a glance and what they've been doing and not doing right, and have a little mini kind of goal setting and a mini way to achieve our goals also will be introduced in that session. So it's basically trying to get ourselves, so it's not only for those who are confused and not those who are confused, stuck, overwhelmed. It's also for people who want to make a great change and impact in year 2022. So it's like refiring for the new year. So it's an event that everyone should try as much as possible to try to attend.
Be part of.
Yes, to be part of.
I know I'm going to ask you to give out your Instagram at the end, because I feel like there's one parent or the other that thinks they need to connect with you. But I want to say that we still need to have you before the end of the year, because these are like very important conversations to usher people into the new year. Because like you rightly said, people felt like 2021 was going to be the year. We recovered from COVID, and we just looked like everything was going to go easy, but it's not been easy like that for a lot of people. Last few questions before you go is, what is now for you? What is next? And what is something you want to do that you have not done?
Now, I'm basically just embracing this new me and this new terrain that I am at, because I did a very great shift, sort of, even though I am still in it. I started off in project management, which I'm still in. But then I did and I've been counseling for a while. I've been counseling on the side because of the passion I have for teenagers and young adults. So I've been doing that for a long time. But then I had to move from counseling to life coaching and therapy, because I realized that the teenagers that I come across, they actually need a lot of therapy. So it's not just about counseling. And counseling is more like telling people what they should do. But then I believe that people have the answers that they need. Well, that's a presupposition too. Everybody has the solution to the problems that they have. So yes, so instead of telling people what they should do, I'm moving to the point where we'll rather help you see clearly. You gain clarity and then know the solution, the necessary solutions that you should take. I mean, I've not lived your life. You have lived your life. So you are the pro at your life. So you should be able to say for yourself what is good for you. So I've moved from being a counselor and all of that, and then right now I am being a life coach, a therapist, and trying to embrace the new me, which is a drastic change that I started just 2 years ago, last year, and then this year, still embracing it that way. So that's just what it is that I'm doing right now.
Okay.
And
What's next?
What's next? Is to take over.
I like that one. I like that one.
So that's basically it.
Yeah.
So we're just moving and we're taking it one day at a time
One step
as
at
it
a time.
comes. Yes.
What is something you want to do that you have not done? It
Like,
can be anything.
like mountain climbing.
It can be anything at all. Something you
Like
think you want to do.
skydiving.
You want to skydive?
Yes, I want to.
Absolutely. I'm not going to say, all I'm going to say, the Lord is with you.
Thank you. Because the look on your face was like, you dare not.
Thank you so much, Coach, for coming around. Your Instagram handle or even an email address, that parents that want to maybe say something about their kids they don't want to see on the radio. Can they email? Can they DM you on Instagram or Facebook or something? Give me a name to give to bad people.
Okay. On Instagram, on YouTube, on Facebook, I think. I'm not sure. But then it's Nwaduto Chats. Nwaduto is NWADIUTO CHATS. So my name and then chats. So Nwaduto Chats on Instagram. And on Facebook, if you go to Facebook, if you type Nwaduto Akwiti, my name is going to come up. And that's me also. And email address is also my full name, Nwaduto Akwiti 1 at gmail.com.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Then
I think the Instagram is more important because I know a lot of people will be able to access Instagram.
okay.
So you do me a favor just for my people. If they reach out to you between now and the end of today and they say from the Listen to Women Radio, just help me give them a listening ear. That's Nwaduto Chat. That's NWADIUTO
Yes.
on
Nwaduto
Instagram.
Chat on
If they reach
Instagram.
out to you, please do want to just give them.
But
a
they could
listening
call me too. I could give out my mobile number if that's easier for people who can't take that
ear. Okay.
long name down. So they could reach me on 0803 417 2949. Was that fast?
Absolutely, it was fast.
Okay, let's take that again. 0803 417 2949.
Thank you so much for coming around today. Appreciate you and taking time to drive down here to our studio today. You're one of my very
pleasure.
first guests in a long time physically.
Really?
All my guests have been Zoom. Frank for helping out pull this through this afternoon. At 1 o'clock is the launch our music. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you very much, guys.